Hey everyone, Panyo here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of After Dinner Mints. Highly encourage everyone watching to join us in the Art Blocks Discord. A link to our description or a link to our Discord can be found in the description of this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of our weekly show. And now I want to introduce our guest for this afternoon. We have generative artist Hideo.
Hi everyone.
Hey Hideo, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you here. I've been following you obviously since you started with Dino Pals, which we'll talk about a little bit later on our blocks. But yeah, maybe you can kind of kick things off and tell us a little bit about your background.
Cool. Yeah. Well, my name is Ruben. I go by Hideo, uh, and I've been working as a generative artist since probably late 2020 or early 2021. I have a background in computer science. I have worked as a software developer for about 10 years, um, and then started learning and playing with generative art since I found out about it actually through art blogs. I discovered it and automatically fell in love with the concept and started learning and playing, tinkering around with scripts because found it so fascinating.
Very cool. And I'm curious to know, as an artist, as you've kind of developed um, your craft, who are some artists you kind of looked up to and inspired your work early on?
Well, I got inspiration from a few of the early art blogs artists like Dimitri Cherniak. Well, I actually have some ringers there in the wall. Those are the Rinkevi sessions. Um, Also, Tyler Hobbs. When I first started, he hadn't published Fidenza on our blogs yet, but he had a lot of material for learning on his website through different essays where he explored like different algorithms. So I got a lot of inspiration from there as well. And also, of course, Snowfro, Jeff Davis, Aaron Penn. Yeah, so a lot of the early art blogs artists, and eventually I started like learning and going back to the pioneers of generative art, and yeah, always keep trying to learn new things and go back to basics and to the essential algorithms.
Great. And I'm curious to know, as far as getting into the crypto and NFT space, like prior to that, were you an artist before that, or what was your background with regards to your career, and are you an artist full time now?
Oh yeah, thanks for asking that. Well, I even though I work as a developer, I don't have like a degree on art or anything. I always have kind of had like an inclination towards art since a very young age. Like I was a very introverted person and I was a very introverted kid, so I use art and drawings as a way to connect with people. So I remember back in school I used to doodle all the time and draw like characters from cartoons or anything, and people like other kids approach me and I did drawings for them as well. So it was always have been kind of like a hobby for me, and eventually um, I tried to study some of the foundations of art, like color theory, composition, and so on. And throughout my career as a developer, I always was focused on the. Always try to connect the development with art or design in some degree. I work mostly on the front end, building UIs, things like with a huge like visual elements to it. Um, and about crypto, I started diving into it around 2017, probably. Yeah, at first uh, I was curious about it. I did a bit of trading and stuff like that, and then on late 2017, I joined Consensys as a developer, and I started like getting more involved into Web3 development, Ethereum applications. Yeah, and they were very supportive. Like at the end of my relationship with them, when it was time for me to when I decided to do art and generative art full time, they were very supportive and very thankful to them. Yeah, they were amazing. And
Awesome.
you also asked when I started to do art full time. It was very recent. This year, around February, I started doing it full time. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm like all in with working on the Legends of Metaterra project.
That's great. And I'm curious to know, which we'll talk about later on. And, I'm very excited to talk about that project, which I know is huge for you. Yeah, I'm curious to know, like, how did you learn about the art? So the Art Blocks platform, I know you released Dino Pals, which we'll talk about in a moment. I'm curious to know, so did you, as far as, generative art, were any of your parents or any of your family members artists? Or like, I'm curious to know, like, how you got into just like art in general, and then realizing that, maybe this is a path you wanted to do full time down the road.
Yeah, I don't have. I don't think I have artists like or full time artists on my family. But yeah, I always have an influence from them to like do creative things and pursue my passions. So I guess in a way they help me like to develop that inclination towards art.
Hmm.
I don't remember exactly how I found out about art blocks. Probably someone shared, some Discord or at work. But when I saw it, something clicked in me. Like it was like something I wanted to explore and pursue. Um, and I had for some reason hadn't heard about generative art before art blocks.
Oh wow, that's cool. Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to dive into your a couple of your projects very shortly. But do you have any early generative art pieces that you can share with us to kind of tell you about your journey as far as a generative artist?
Sure. Yeah, I have a few um, sketches here. This was a thing I was building to learn about the flow fields algorithm. So it's like a matrix, and each cell has a vector with a different direction, and I added some color on top of it. It's like an early exploration of the flow fields algorithm, which is like a very popular generative algorithm. This is a second iteration of it, where there are some like particles going through the field and drawing these curves. And every time I refresh, it uses a different random hash. So it gets like different results, different colors. Then I did a third iteration, changed some parameters here and there. Um, then I have another piece right here where I kind of wanted to mix recursion and creating these recursive trees. There is like a flow field in the background with some stars going around. If I refresh it, it should get different
Mm.
outputs. So I was kind of playing uh, with different like generative algorithms and different things like how they are changing the seed changes the visualization and playing with colors and so on. Then I also have an early uh, exploration of 3D. There you go. Just playing around with 3JS. These are some like I wanted to do like an Ethereum logo with Lego pieces. So
Oh, that's
and they
cool.
are rotating.
And I've noticed that like a lot of your projects have to do with animation and movement. Is that something that you're always kind of drawn to early on?
Yeah. I like animation. Is although it's kind of time consuming to animation properly, but it's something I'm very into, and also like 3D in general or generative. I enjoy very much like generative 3D scripts. The last one of this, I think this was actually my first generative script. I had a monstera plant in my house,
Hmm.
and I wanted to like procedurally create different plants. It's not very complex. What was one of my first, or my first, my actual first algorithm. So yeah, I started like digging up some of these scripts for this uh, call, and yeah, it was very fun to go back and see the progress.
Yeah, no, I think those are beautiful. I'd love. Is that a project you've ever released out on the blockchain, or is this something kind of like your own, your own personal
No, no, it's
project?
just no, it's just on my local host. I never released it anywhere. My first mint was Dinopals, like my first
Oh, okay.
work on the blockchain ever. Yeah.
Great. Well, yeah. Well, I'd love to dive into that right now. So, Dino Pals, which was your first drop on Art Blocks, 100 total mints. This was released what, back in, is that May or April, sometime in the spring last year in 2021? Does it sound about right?
Yeah, I think it was May. Yeah. Funny thing about it. I only did 100 mints because I was very insecure about it. It was my first project. I didn't know if people was gonna like it or anything. I had a lot of imposter syndrome and so on.
Yeah.
So I only did 100 mints for that reason. But I think it turned out pretty well because of the scarcity of it. Like people valued it a lot, and yeah, I was very thankful and overwhelmed by the positive review. I think the Arblos community is amazing, and I love how they're very enthusiastic about the artist's work and how they celebrate each project and means. So it was definitely an exciting experience for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to know, like, why did you choose dinosaurs? Was there something specific? Do you have, I don't know, are you a big fan of, like the prehistoric animals, or yeah, I'm just kind of curious to know like what your background is, and why you decided on dinosaurs.
Yeah, I yeah, I've always liked dinosaurs. And when I was a kid, I was pretty much obsessed with them. I kept drawing different dinosaurs, especially the T-Rex, and like the first Jurassic Park movie was a big influence in my childhood. So, and on the other hand, I was very curious about exploring like um, characters, like generative characters, not only like abstract 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 things at the moment, but like characters with faces, like, and with features. I don't know, feet, hand. So I thought it was a fun little project to try. I wasn't sure if it was going to be possible because I used this library that wasn't on our blocks yet. CDog is like a not very popular library that lets you do like pseudo 3D things using vectors.
Yeah,
Uh,
vector graphics. Yeah.
so yeah, but thankfully they were able to include it on the platform, and that's how it was possible to mint it, put the script on the blockchain, and so on.
Great. And do you have a favorite species? I noticed that you have a variety. You have the T-Rex, Triceratops. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious how you went about selecting them. And are these like your favorites, or in your childhood, or what?
Yeah, I try to include like the most popular species from pop culture, right? So the T-Rex was the first one, and then uh, the this long neck one is different. They have different species, but I wanted to like simplify it, just include one of these
Mhm.
diplodocus or long neck dinosaurs, and then of course the uh, velociraptors, stegosaurs. I wanted to include the pterodactyl, but it just I couldn't figure out a way to do it with this library because of their flat wings. Like all of these shapes are kind of like noodles or round. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I try to include like the most popular ones. Also the Triceratops. I have to say my favorites are the red T Rexes. I shouldn't pick a favorite, but I just love how they look.
Yeah, no, I was gonna actually ask you later on, what is your favorite, and now I'm glad you could share that. So I'm curious to know,
Yeah.
you've obviously seen all the different, you've released projects on Art Blocks different times, like May. I think there weren't too many people. August, obviously July, August through the end of the year was pretty wild. I'm curious to know, how was your experience launching a project a year ago, last, yeah, 1 year ago in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I was prepared for the worst. Actually, I said like maybe nobody's gonna mint it. Well, at least I'm gonna get to keep one, the number zero. That's what I thought at the time. I remember I released the Dino Pass the same day as the cat blocks
Oh
by
yeah, Cat Blancs, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I was part of that and minted a cat. So it was like an exercise to see. Uh, the cats did really well too. They minted all of them like uh, at the launch day. So yeah, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't have big expectations. They minted really fast, like sold out. So I was really happy about that. um I just wanted to keep doing it, and I started like immediately thinking and doodling ideas for the next project. And I love like the enthusiasm from people like sharing their memes on Discord.
Hmm.
So yeah, very fun experience.
Excellent. And how did you, go about selecting the different color palettes for this project? I noticed you mentioned, red's your favorite. Was there any rhyme or reason, or are these kind of your favorite colors?
No, I mean, uh I tried to choose for this project. I went with very bright colors and natural colors. There are no real. I mean, there are no red T-Rexes as far as I know of, or like green or purple dinosaur. I'm not sure, or blue. I just went to with like really bright and fun colors. Yeah, I think I have done that for most of my projects so far. Also for mecha suits and cyclones. Well, in cyclones, I did explore more different, more complicated mixes of colors. But for this one, I just went with like the basic, bright and vibrant uh,
Mhm.
color palettes I could find.
Great. And do you have any, favorite? I know you mentioned the red ones. Red color is your favorite. Do you have any, favorite mints or mints that kind of surprised you from this project?
Yeah, in this particular project, there weren't any big surprises because yeah, this that's another reason I only did 100, because this particular algorithm is not so broad in
Hmm.
terms of the outputs. But I was really excited and looking forward for the albinos. There
Yeah,
were only two
the
two
Triceratops, I
albinos.
think.
Yeah, one triceratops. There you go, and one uh, diplodocus somewhere. I was really looking forward for an albino T-Rex, but it wasn't.
Didn't
it,
happen.
it didn't come out. Didn't happen. Yeah.
Uh, well, yeah, your next project, which was in July of 2021, was Celestial Cyclones, which was an interactive project based on the classic game Breakout. I'm curious to know, like, what is your like? It sounds like obviously Breakout was a huge influence in this project. Can you tell us, kind of just the inspiration, the idea behind this project?
Sure. Yeah. Since started playing with generative scripts, I always wanted to make something interactive, and if it was possible to make a game, even better. I forgot to mention, but on my early works, I also did another game that never got published. It was
Oh,
kind
really?
of like, yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, if you're able to share
Um,
that, that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
yeah, yeah. I think I have it here somewhere. Let me look in my uh, console. Yeah, I'm opening it right now. So I wasn't intrigued by the concept of like a generative game, and if it was an on-chain game, even better.
Hmm.
So I did
Oh, cool.
this small,
Kind of
yeah,
like
it's kind
Space
of like a
Invaders.
Space Invader kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did this one with there's another platform that uses like transactions data from a block as input for the algorithm. So these blocks, each block in the game is correlated to a transaction of that particular block. So it uses that as an input as a random. And I did this. Yeah, it's like a mini game, inspired by Space Invaders, and you can like destroy all the blocks, and eventually it gets harder and harder, and you have a score. This was
Cool.
my first game. It never got published or put on chain or anything.
That's cool. It's nice
So
to see you kind of working on games kind of early on. I think that's, it sounds like, your previous work that you did early on is obviously showcase a lot. You have like the one with the vector files and the dinosaurs, Dino Pals, and then you have the one right here where it reminds me of Space Invaders, and you kind of created a game as well. And it sounds like games have been like kind of a huge influence in your life. Did you have any favorite video games growing up?
oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm a big gamer. Always have been. I have a lot of games that were a huge influence, like Legends of Zelda, um, all of the Nintendo classics,
Hmm.
Mario, Pokemon. Yeah, and for like when I thought about like putting games on like a generative script on the blockchain, I went back to the very basics, because one of the like the constraints of the medium is you cannot have like external assets or like a huge library, like a game library. So I tried to come up with a way to recreate the classics, where they were also very constrained from like system requirements. They were working with a very limited memory size and disk size and so on. So I went back to that and like tried to develop mini games that were didn't have any big dependencies on like physics libraries or like external 3D assets or things like that. Yeah, Celestial Cyclones follow the same line. So I kind of wanted to do the classic breakout game, but give it a different twist. So I thought, why not like 3D and a circle? Um, yeah, that's how it was born, and I had to like develop a very small and compact physics mini engine to detect the collisions and the bouncing, which was very fun to build.
Yeah, I love how you created, the 360-degree movement, as you work your way to the core. Were there any other, early designs you had for this game, or did you always, it's obviously definitely different than the breakout, but uh, yeah, how did you go about like settling on, a circular, cyclone kind of path? It kind of reminds me of like a tornado, I guess you could say, just like the different
Oh yeah,
layers on the inside.
yeah. Well, I started it on paper, as I usually do with my project. So since the beginning, it was thought as a circular thing. I think I might have thought of it in 2D initially, like a flat thing, and I started doodling and drafting some early concepts for it. Eventually, I think I decided to switch to 3D, even though it's a very 2D game. There's a 3D component to it, a bit of perspective, and also it was a great way to start exploring a 3D library, because most of the shapes in the game are primitives, like the rectangles, um, and so on. And yeah, and also because I went with the 3JS library, there is no sound library involved, so kind of had to work with the native APIs for sound, and encoded the sound as a base 64 string in order not to like reference any external MP3 files or anything. So yeah, very fun to. There were a few technical challenges, but it was very fun to do.
Yeah, I thought it was just a well executed game. Did you ever envision, I'm kind of curious. so I know I have some friends that have like video game cabinets basically, and they kind of customize and put all the games. Or it looks like a real arcade that you would see at a shop or a restaurant or whatever. Do you ever envision putting all the games you've created on like a physical like arcade cabinet, and then maybe having a place where people can jump in, or I don't know, you could put at like a local shop and then people can go in and play the games that you actually created?
That's a pretty fun idea. I hadn't thought about it. That would be really fun to do. Also, I did build this website like not too long after releasing Celestial Cyclones. It's kind of like a virtual arcade for people to play.
Oh,
Like
cool.
Celestial is the only game here. It's arcadeblocks.io. Yeah, it's been up since June or July, I think, and a lot of people have left their high scores
Oh, that's awesome.
here.
So do you have to connect your wallet, and basically it'll save your wallet as like a high score if you get like in the top 5 or whatever. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. It's not on chain, but you can assign you play and you sign not a transaction, but you sign a message to authenticate, and you leave it pulls your name from OpenSea if you have an OpenSea account. Otherwise, it just shows the address and your score, and you can save your best score in terms of like the points you make or your time. Like if you have the shortest time, it's a better score than taking longer to beat. And it compares by mint, because it wouldn't be fair to compare like a very small mint like this
With like one
17 with
layer.
one with a lot of layers. So it keeps track of the. Yeah, I haven't been able to beat this wet potato brain score. And
Yeah, that's your min zero
service.
too. That's something you have to, you got to work at.
Yeah, I haven't been able to. I've been trying, but yeah, this player is just too good.
That's cool. So can anyone, as long as they have a wallet, they can go and play the game essentially. Is that correct?
Yeah, you don't have to own. If you own it, it will show a small icon next to your name. But otherwise, you can play it. It's open for everyone to play.
Cool. And is that something you're hoping to build as far as arcade blocks is concerned? I know you're working on your legends at Metaterra, and we'll talk about that soon. But is this something where you kind of hope to build out, multiple games, or would you potentially be open to other, artists, contributing to arcade blocks?
Yeah, definitely. It's open for everyone to participate. This was actually Snowfrost's idea. We were talking about when I was like about to launch Celestial Cyclones, and Snowfrost said like, can we come up with a standard to save your score somewhere, and have like a scoreboard and something like that? And I thought it was a great idea. So I built the site. Didn't do a lot of didn't do such a good job like advertising it or letting people know about it, but potentially any artist that creates like a game on our blocks or potentially other platforms, they can if they like they can reach out to me, and I'll give. There's a simple specification for them to do an API call or integrate the site to arcade blocks, and people can be able to save their high scores here.
Cool. And how can people reach out to you? Is there like an email address or Twitter, or what's the best way in case, I don't know, some artists listening that potentially want to put a game on arcade blocks?
Yeah, just Twitter. I have my Twitter is Hideo Gen Art, as in generative art, and I always reply the DMs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. And do you have any favorite mints from that project, from the Celestial Cyclones?
Yeah, I have a few favorites. Let me see. I have one of my favorite color palettes for this project was this one. is called Tactical Tomato, and I love most mints with this color palette. And there was a particular mint that had, I call this feature ornaments. There was a top ornament and a bottom ornament. So it has this kind of like section of rectangles floating, and they are semi-transparent. So this mint 244 has my favorite color palette, and also both the ornaments. There are just a few of these with both the top and the bottom, and they're just for decoration. You cannot destroy them with the ball by playing.
Cool, that's awesome. And have you ever thought about, I was talking about the arcade earlier. I think it'd be really cool one day to have some kind of in-person tournament. People can maybe have like a couple different TV screens or computer screens, whatever, and kind of have a tournament playing all the different celestial cyclones, and then what other projects are on your specific site. I think it would be a lot of fun to kind of just explore all these generative art outputs. I think would be really fun.
Yeah, that's a really fun idea. I better start working on it. Maybe build with a Raspberry Pi or something and bring it
Yeah.
to the next Marfa open house or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, are you planning on making it out this year? We don't have a date set up yet, but are you planning to hopefully make it out to Marfa?
Hopefully, yeah. I missed the last one, but hopefully, I think it would be cool to join this year.
Cool. Yeah, I look forward to meeting you. And with regards to the Marfa, your annual event, that's something we'll plan to do. We don't have, like I said, we don't have a date set up yet, but we're waiting on like some other events that are being planned out in Marfa to kind of not create some overlap this year. But yeah, looking at like end of September, early October. So yeah, we'll definitely keep you posted. And yeah, it'd be great to see you out in Marfa this year.
Cool. Looking forward to it. Yeah, it would be very exciting for me to meet people in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to talk a little bit about mecha suits before we dive into Legends of Metaterra. Yeah, can you tell us just a little bit about this project and yeah, the kind of the idea and building it?
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, the Legends of Metaterra started as a generative project, right? Let me look, find it here. And there were 1,024 characters. So this script is not as generative, like in the technical sense, because it has like a predefined set of features that are just randomized on the script. But when I built it, I always thought that NFTs are a great fit for games and gaming, and I love procedural games like roguelike type of games where you get like randomized inputs, and then you have to like play with that with procedural worlds or procedural characters. So I wanted to build a set of characters that could potentially be used for an RPG game. So I got a lot of inspiration from games like Final Fantasy, like the early Final Fantasy games, and Pokemon, where you have like characters in your team and they have different stats, like attack, defense, and so on. And they also have like an element. So, for instance, they can be like fire type and they're strong against ice, or they're like water type and they're strong. There's like a set of rules to determine like their weaknesses and strengths. And they also have some items like potions, things like that, and different weapons. So I kind of threw all of that into the mix and randomized a set of characters with different classes too. So I came up with a whole backstory for them, and they live in like a high fantasy theme kind of world where there are mages and like warriors and just like fantasy creatures. So yeah, I built it with a game in mind, but it wasn't like announced before the mint or anything. But yeah, right after the mint, I started I made the announcement. I started working towards a game, and I just wanted to expand the experience of like minting and owning these characters, and give them like a setting, a world for them to, I don't know, do stuff, exist and battle against each other, and kind of like a interactive expanded experience to it.
And I'm curious to know, like, where did the name come from, Legends of Metaterra?
Oh, that's a good question. So yeah, Legends, because I just got like inspiration from Legend of Zelda or Final Fantasy, where there are some legends or lore involved, and Metaterra because I wanted to make reference to elements of the with Web3 or blockchain world. So the metaverse is of course something that uh, is very in line with the theme of Web3. But metaverse for me sounds really modern, like a modern concept and like sci-fi kind of thing. So I kind of wanted to mix it up with something old or ancient that sounded like, I don't know, the Lord of the Rings kind of thing, like an old fantasy world. So I kind of mixed the Metaterra with, it's kind of like a metaverse but ancient like a Terra, or like yeah. So hope it it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to know, like, what are your plans for Legends of Metaterra? Like, I know you're building out this game. Do you plan to incorporate some of the characters from your previous projects, like Dinopals, or Mecha Suits, or even Celestial Cyclones? Is that something that you plan to incorporate in some capacity, or is this going to be totally separate from your other projects?
Oh no, thanks for bringing it up. Part of my idea with the project was to also somehow include all of my previous projects, like from Dynopals and so on. So, but not all of them are compatible with the world of Metaterra. So, for instance, like the mecha suits are like I don't know, robotic vehicles, and the dinosaurs are not like part of the like high fantasy world. So what I did was I came up with some sort of way to include them, but with a different look and feel to them. So, for instance, part of the plan for the game is that you can play as these characters, right? But then you can summon like uh, entities like from other worlds to help you in the battle. And so then you can summon a Dinopal, but it will show up as a dragon, right? So if you have like a red T-Rex, it would be a red dragon, and the mecha suits will be transformed into golems. So for instance, if you have um, a blue uh, mecha suit, it will be a an ice golem, and same for celestial cyclones. And I kind of built. I'm not sure if it's still live, but I built a little. No, it's not live anymore because I'm migrating it to the new to the game. But I did build a little interface where you could like import from your wallet, and you could preview the Dinopax dragons and the mecha suits as golems, so that they will have a they will have a participation on the game.
And I'm curious, are you working on this by yourself? It seems like a huge undertaking. So I'm curious. I'm sure you put in a lot of time and effort. So
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a big passion project of mine. So that's otherwise I wouldn't be able to to do it, because I've been working very hard on this. But it just feels like playing. It's so fun to make. I'm doing mostly everything by myself, but I do have a few people that help me with some of the assets for the game. I'm working with a pixel artist and also a developer to help me build some parts of the game. And yeah, there's already an early alpha version of it available on the Legends of Metaterra website. It doesn't have battles yet, but you can like have a little taste of what the game will be like, and you can like see your characters and play as them, walk around in the world of Metaterra and things like that.
Cool. No, that's awesome. And do you have any? Can you talk a little bit about the? I know you mentioned a little bit about the different characters, and obviously they're very like science fiction. And are they inspired by? You have like the robots and the rabbits, and I think there's like, was there a ninja in there as well?
Oh yeah, there
There's just
are.
like
So this is
it's like the wizard right there.
yeah, this is a preview of the game. So you can
No, it's awesome.
build your party with up to 3 characters, and then a summon companion that is not implemented yet. I'm working on it, but you can choose. You can like I'm gonna remove them just to show. You can add from your collection up to 3 characters, and then you can choose which one is the leader of the team,
Mhm.
and that leader will be like the appearance you will have on the game. You can walk around through town and talk to the different NPCs. You can go into houses just like in the Zelda or Pokemon and that
Oh,
type
that's
of
so cool.
games. And there are some
Oh man,
NPCs,
it's
and
so awesome.
you can talk to them and like read their books and read things, and you can like find little pieces of the backstory for Metaterra. And it has I wanted to I did a lot of writing for the story of the game, and I tried to come up with some parallels between like the story of Web3 and blockchain, and the like in this world. Web3 is like magic for them. So magic used to be centralized, but now some wizards try to decentralize the magic so everyone could use it, and you have like 12 secret magic words that you cannot share with anyone. So I've been like playing with that concept of like introducing like elements of Web3 into the lore of the game.
That's very cool. And when you say that you can select three characters, so do you tie your wallet into that, and then if you have three mints collect in your collection, you can use them, or is it just like three characters? Like if I don't have anything, am I allowed?
If
Am I
you
able to play or?
Yeah, you're able to play. I'm gonna just remove the characters from here. If you don't have any characters in your wallet, you will just play as a villager, right? So
Mhm.
you can
Okay.
do pretty much everything. You can walk around. You can chat. There's a chat. There are some emoji reactions,
I
and
see this. I
then
see a
then
squiggle in that boat, also. By the way.
oh yeah, there's a squiggle here doing
Oh,
a
that's great.
cameo on the game. So the difference is the villager doesn't have like they have like simple or eventually when I release the battles, so they will have like limited set of moves and powers as compared to the other characters, but the game's still pretty much playable. So if someone wants to just try it out but they don't own any characters, that's cool. Like they can still experience most of the game. And then I'm gonna show like a little preview of the battles that are currently under development. So for battles, it will have like a turn-based system, and also some elements of board games. So there's a board with different hexagonal tiles, and you can like choose your characters and perform different actions on the board, like moving and then attacking members of the opposite team. And yeah, there will be different ways of winning the match. You can defeat all of the enemies, or maybe you can capture a specific tile that has a flag, and you capture the flag for a number of turns. Yeah, lots of ideas, and
Yeah, yeah.
you can improve things.
I'm sure you can just create idea after idea, and it's like, well, how do I have the time to like fit everything in? I'm curious to know. So, is this game like a network game? So, if I'm playing, am I able to interact if you're playing the same game? If you're playing the game too, or is this like isolated on my computer essentially?
No, it's an online game. Let me show you. I'm gonna open it here on a different tab, and it's like a small, yeah, I don't want to say metaverse, but
Yeah.
like a small online world where you can interact. I'm logging in from a different window here to show it, so people can, yeah, they can
Oh,
can
that's
see
so
each
cool.
other. and talk hi, and then I can reply hello, and eventually you'll be able to approach the player next to you and like challenge them to a
Battle.
battle or a match, and they can agree, and you go to the battle mode and so on.
Oh, that's so cool. I think what you're creating is, I know it's a lot of work, but it's so great that you're so passionate about this project, and I don't know, I'm just so thrilled that you focused on being an artist full time, because I can just tell that you really put the time and effort and energy into in creating this project. So I keep it up, and I definitely look forward to seeing this game when it's released. So is it fully released to the public, or is it something it's like beta, you kind of like work on it, people can kind of mess around with it right now?
Yeah, they can mess around. It's an early alpha. It's open to the public. You can find it on the legendsofmetaterra.com website. Yeah, it's a limited thing. There are no battles, but you can mess around. And please, if you find any bugs, like for the people listening, if you find any bugs, just send me a message or something. I'm like actively fixing it and iterating on it. So I probably do like a big launch or something when the battle system is in place. But uh, yeah, it's pretty much available if you want to try it out. If anyone wants
Great.
to try it out.
Great. And do you have like a timeline? Will that happen this year, sometime next year, for the battle to be implemented?
Yeah, I'm aiming to launch in the battles in the next month or next 2 months, at least a basic version of it, and then keep iterating. I'm planning to add a lot of features and different summons that you can bring to the game, and maybe including other collections, right? And as summons or as a, like magic spells into the battle system. So it will be an iterative process, but I'm aiming for releasing the battles pretty soon, like next month.
Oh, that's so cool. Awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to it. Is there anything else you want to add about the game before we move on to the next topic?
No, I think we're okay.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I look forward to seeing the battle be implemented, and playing Legends of Metaterra. I think it's super cool. I appreciate that, Hideo. Um,
Thank you.
I'm curious now, like, what do you do in your spare time? I mean, do you have spare time now that you're just like fully focused on this project, or?
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty much a workaholic, but I enjoy it so much, and I'm so passionate about it that it doesn't feel like work. But yeah, I do try to once in a while, like disconnect from everything, and especially when I'm stressed about something. I have a few hobbies. I like to play video games as well, and also use it as an inspiration. Lately, I've been playing the uh, Elden Elden Ring. Is it Elden Ring?
Elden Ring, yeah, yeah. Elder
Elden
Ring,
Ring.
yeah, Elder Ring, yeah.
Elder or Elden? Yeah,
I don't
I've
know.
been playing that. It's yeah, a lot of fun, and sometimes you get some ideas from it. It's also like a high fantasy setting. I also like to go for walks when I have a a lot of ideas in my mind and I want to like put them in order and think them through. I go for like long walks in the park. I watch a lot of movies and like TV shows. Yeah, those are the things I do. Also, uh, yeah, for mental health, I found reading Stoic philosophy to be really good for me. Like especially like the Marcus Aurelius, his work. There's a book uh, where he collected his thoughts, and I think it's very it's a very good philosophy to keep in mind nowadays, with especially if you're in the crypto world, which has
Hmm.
a lot of ups and downs and stress. I think it's a very good set of principles to review and revisit every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you as far as stepping away, and that's great. You go on walks and stuff. I find that to be super helpful, just because it helps like clear your mind. You can kind of come back recharged and focused, and continue development on your game and whatever you're working on. So I think that's really cool. um yeah, do you have any resources, or I don't know, do you have like words of advice for any artists that are potentially working or thinking about building a game such as what you're doing with Legends of Metaterra, or or just coding like a simple project on art blocks?
Yeah, if I could give you any advice, is like for people, it's just just go do it, and don't be afraid to do it, and share your work, get feedback, get input. When I was, I mean, I constantly keep learning. I don't believe I'm an expert or anything, but when I was first starting, the Tyler Hobbs website was really helpful for me. He has a lot of essays, and um also there's one video that was very influential for me. Is you can people can look it up as um
Yeah, we can include in the show notes if you want to mention or pull it up on your computer, either one.
yeah, there's a Tim Holman video. He's a creative coder, and that video is it's called Generative Art Speedrun. It's like a very fast walk through what generative art is, and different tools you can, so you can build like a toolkit for generative art. It's pretty basic, in the sense that it's like easy to understand, but it has a lot of pretty cool foundations to start coding generative stuff. So I recommend it.
Great. Yeah, we'll definitely include that in the show notes. I think that's great, and I think it's always helpful to hear just like different perspectives from different artists. Like, where do they find their inspiration? Where do they get the resources, get their help, to be who they are today? So I think that's great. I really appreciate you sharing that. How can people reach you? I know you mentioned Twitter. How can they reach you if they have any questions? Is social media kind of the best route via Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter. A lot of people message me, and I always reply. It might take me a while, but I always reply. I'm looking forward to hearing people's ideas or feedback. Also, if you like the Legends of Metaterra project, you can join the Discord and kind of follow there's a Discord for it, and I'm always sharing updates on the game development, and sharing previews, and doing alpha testing sessions with people. So feel free to, like, for anyone watching, feel free to reach out and join if you're interested in the project.
Great. Well, Hideo, I really, really appreciate you joining me on After Dinner Mints. This has been a pleasure to talk about all your different projects. I'm so happy that you're working and developing this game, Legends of Metaterra, which I know will be super exciting. And I know a lot of people in the community are excited to hear about the different developments on this project. So, yeah, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you for having me. I was very happy to be here and have this conversation with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. On next week's After Dinner Mints show, which will be released on May the 12th, we have generative artist IPP Sketch. That's the creator of the curated project, Ben. So looking forward to talking to them next week. And just a heads up that all these shows will be pre-recorded moving forward. We might have a couple live shows here and there, but for the most part, all of these will be pre-recorded on Wednesdays, and then release on Thursdays. And then eventually, I think in June, we will eventually have it where all the pre-recorded After Dinner Mints will be released on Wednesdays. So I'll be sure to keep you all posted, but thank you for tuning in on this. We have a weekly Twitter Spaces discussion called Minters and Makers. This is a show that we have with a variety of artists, collectors, and other notable community members with conversations surrounding art. Our next discussion will be on Thursday, May the 5th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. That's with Devi Parik, Sophia Crespo, and Rev Dan Cat. And you can tune into that conversation via the Artblocks Twitter handle, which is at artblocks_IO. And all these discussions are being recorded, and they will be available in a podcast format, which will be on major platforms such as Apple, Spotify, Google, all that good stuff. And finally, we have a weekly newsletter that gets delivered once a week with information on upcoming drops. and generative art related news, you can find a link to the newsletter in the description of this YouTube video. Thank you again to Hideo for joining me on After Dinner Mints. To anyone tuning in, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the Artblogs YouTube channel. Be kind to each other, buy what you love, and we will see you all next week. Thanks, Hideo. I really appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.